Hello and welcome to Channels Book Club. My name is Kunle Kasumo and I'm happy to be on the show once again. Always exciting to be here talking all things books. Now, during the festive season, a lot of friends and families came together in Nigeria. And have you observed that everywhere, 2 or 3 or more Nigerians gather together, they are talking Nigeria. And we always like to talk about Nigeria. We are all passionate about our country and we are all concerned about Nigeria. Now, one of the things about Nigeria is when you look at the potential of the country and you compare it with the results the company is getting at the moment, there's always that massive gulf, that disparity. Everybody knows that Nigeria can be a lot better than Nigeria is at the moment. We've got to make this happen. The whole of Africa is waiting on Nigeria. Now, one of our guests who visited us in the studio has written a book that is fascinating. It's titled Project Nigeria. His name is Kunle Oshobi, and the book is really fascinating in terms of exploring the challenges and the potential of Nigeria. What can we do to fix Nigeria? Kunle Oshobi offers his own ideas in this book titled Project Nigeria. Let's get to know him more, and then when we return, enjoy the conversation we had with Kunle Oshobi exploring his book Project Nigeria.
Kunle Oshobi is a management consultant and business development enthusiast. His working career has spanned across the manufacturing, insurance, and telecommunications sectors, where at various times he performed auditing, accounting, selling, and marketing functions. Oshobi is also a Google-certified digital marketing professional and development economist. His passion now is to inspire Nigerians to positively change the way business is approached, with the overall aim of helping people to improve and manage their businesses better, whilst increasing productivity within the Nigerian economy. Kunle Oshobi is the author of Project Nigeria, Building the Country of Our Dream, a book that dissects Nigeria's major economic challenges and prefers practical solutions.
Kunle, nice to have you on Channels Book Club.
Thanks so much, Kunle.
Welcome.
I'm glad to be here.
Great. Project Nigeria, Building the Country of Our Dreams. Nigeria needs to be a project, right? I mean, from reading your book, even from the very beginning, reading the foreword of Donald Duke, at the beginning, there is your initial attempt, his own initial attempt, to paint a picture of a country with a lot of potential, but having huge problems. So Nigeria does need to be a project, right?
Yes, it does. It definitely is.
Obviously.
Yes.
Yeah. So that makes your title really appropriate. Project Nigeria, Building the Country of Our Dreams. And we've not yet built the country of our dreams, have we?
No, definitely not. We're far from it. I don't even think we're scratching the surface as of today.
So I guess that's what inspired this book. Tell me the story behind the book.
Well, first of all, I always tell people I'm not a politician, but I think I get a little bit involved in politics from time to time, maybe because of the passion I have for the country. I must admit that the book initially was written as like a part of the manifesto economic plan for Donald Duke in the run-up to the 2019 presidential elections. But as things turned out that time, it was like a manifesto, it's economic plan for the country. As things turned out that time, we could not go ahead with the publishing of the book then, or even releasing it as part of his manifesto because of certain issues came up then that sabotaged his presidential bid, his ambition then. Not even start campaigning or doing anything. So the book was in the cooler for a couple of years, and before...
Sorry to interrupt. So you helped to write that manifesto back then?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
It's the basis for this book.
Okay.
That's the basis. That's the, let me say, the the major motivation. Even though I've always wanted, as an economist, I've always wanted to write a book, but that was the final inspiration I had, as in writing the manifesto, the economic plan. I won't call it manifesto, let's just say economic plan, because manifesto covers a lot of other things that borders on social politics. But this is just
the economics of the ambition.
Yes, I'll call it economic plan for...
So, of course, that must have taken a lot of work, research, statistics, data, and all that to then frame the plan for his presidency if he had won the elections.
Yes, definitely. At least it forms like, let me just say, it's foundational. It's not conclusive on its own, because I know in economics, you still need to bring a lot of brains together, brainstorm, agree on things, debate. So, I mean, when you... let me just call it a proposal.
The proposal.
You know, it's not a definitive plan.
Okay.
No serious person will say, okay, I've written this plan and everybody must take it that way. No, people still have to think through it, brainstorm, agree, debate issues, and fine-tune it.
So a few years later, when that didn't work out, you had this manuscript sitting down somewhere. You decided to put it together, knock it into shape, and get a book out.
Exactly. That's what happened.
Okay. So as to provide some insight into what is in here, let's do a quick run through. So I see here from your table of contents, the first thing here, chapter 1, is national reorientation. And then you've got monetary policy reforms, fiscal policy reforms, pension reforms, capital market reforms, education, private sector-led growth, developing our sports and entertainment, tourism, and you practically ran through the whole of the Nigerian economy, and you offered suggestions on the way forward, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Please speak a little bit about that.
Okay, first, we started with national reorientation as a panacea for socio-economic development. That, to me, is probably one of the most critical things. I think we, as Nigerians, we need to reinvent ourselves. A lot of problems, not just government. You see, the attitude of the average Nigerian, our disposition to a lot of things, it's actually counterproductive. You know, we sit down, we all shout, our government is corrupt, our government is not performing, our government is not doing well. But you see, the same people that criticize government, give them half the opportunity, they will do worse. I think we need to change our mindset in this country. And that's why I suggest a national reorientation program. But it's a leadership thing. The leadership must take that initiative and implement the program. And it's not a program that you just do with lip service. People must see that you must show leadership, as in the government itself must be ready to not just promote people, to encourage people to improve, but they themselves must be seen to be making sacrifices to improve on governance, you know. And if you tell people, okay, you people, we're going to remove fuel subsidy, and those in government are living large. You know, government, they should be ready to cut down the cost of governance, the cost of running government, all the excesses they have, you know, jeeps, private jets, all this. There's so many excesses we see those in government. They were ready to cut down on these things. So when they tell people to make sacrifices, you know, and reorientate themselves, people will listen. Okay, these people are trying for us. So that amounts to leadership by example.
I like the fact that you put that as chapter 1, national reorientation. But I also felt that this is a tough one. And you expressed that much in that chapter, that it is a tough challenge. Changing the way a people think. It's a tough one. You wrote here in chapter 30, reorientating the populace is the first critical step and the foundation of every other thing that will be needed to set the country on the path of growth and prosperity. The buy-in of the Nigerian media to promote this initiative will also be very critical to its success. So I read this and I just started thinking, what will it take to change the way we think as a people? We're talking about a whole lot of people here. And I felt like, yeah, this is the right first step, but it's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one. But incidentally, where I got this inspiration from, I know it's possible, was from the War Against Indiscipline, which was incidentally implemented by the same person, Buhari, who is in power today. If you remember, in that period, when they implemented that thing, Nigerians started behaving themselves. Although, yes, it was a military regime, so there's a little bit of maybe force and it was there to coerce people. But the truth is that the disposition of the average Nigerian changed. People were behaving themselves in those days because there was a way, and there was that consciousness that, look, we had to behave in certain ways, certain acceptable ways, But that's coercion. But there are other ways that you can coerce people through moral suasion, through leadership by example that I said earlier on, even through educating them. So it's it's a complex process that you need to bring in professionals. I'm talking of social scientists, psychologists, sociologists, people that understand human behavior and how to shape it, and of course the media has to be involved to communicate these things.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's possible. It's just, I know it's a tough challenge, but it's possible.
Possible, yeah. In your chapter on chapter 12, bridging the economic gap between the North and the South, I also found that chapter very interesting. And it takes me back to the first question I asked you about, political solutions to Nigeria's problems. But I saw here you trying to explain the many implications of the gap between northern Nigeria and southern Nigeria, northern part of Nigeria, southern part of Nigeria. You went to great lengths to explain the gap. So you said here in chapter, in 137, there exists a huge wealth gap between the northern and southern parts of the country, which comes accompanied with numerous social problems. Special attention needs to be given to the North by helping to develop industries in which they have comparative advantages. And when I looked at some of the stats here in page 138, the northern region of Nigeria still lags behind. There's a stat I'm looking for here. Oh, here it is. The region, according to states ranked, posts an average of 84.36% in poverty rates in the period under review, with 6 northern states ranked as worst states. You were, of course, quoting from OPHI data or something. Or what was it? Human Development Initiative, OPHI. So, please talk to me a little bit about what this chapter, what you had in mind for this chapter.
You see, that's a chapter that actually put us a little bit on politics. When I was writing the book, I was really trying to avoid politics, but it cannot be divorced. Politics and economy cannot be divorced. Mm-hmm. And in fact, a lot of reviews or questions I've been asking, and people have been asking me about the book. People always, the first thing people ask me about the book is restructuring, which I did not even mention.
You didn't mention it at all.
I didn't talk about restructuring, but too many people, wow, okay, what are your views? What did I say about restructuring? I was like, and this borders, the question you just read, it just borders a little bit towards restructuring, because people just see restructuring. I'm sorry, a lot of people view restructuring in a selfish perspective. That, okay, all the money we're making, we should keep it for ourselves, so we shouldn't give it to those people. To me, it's a wrong mentality, But again, I believe in restructuring, but it's for the purpose of development. If we have regions, if we go back to regional system, right, it will hasten development.
Yeah.
Not the current system that we have now.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying that, okay, one region is lagging behind, and I was talking to you about the northern region lagging behind. Okay, how can we bring them up to speed, How can we bring them up to speed? And I try to profile some solutions in areas in which they have comparative advantage, so they can move up. And but this area is so broad that I'm going to write a follow-up to this book.
Something else, okay.
Right, which is another book entirely, which is going to be Project Nigeria Restructured. I'm going to write on restructuring Nigeria, from the economics perspective. So that people can see that, okay, if we restructure this country, everybody can actually benefit. It's not about shortchanging some people and no.
Kunle, unfortunately, we have run out of time. Thank you very much for joining us on Channels Book Club. And, great book you've written here. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Welcome back. Who will solve Nigeria's problems? It's you and I. We've got to find a way out for the sake of our children and our children's children. We've got to find a way out of this mess, if I may call it so. Nigeria has so much potential, and the future of Nigeria can be very, very bright. But it depends on the decisions we make today, not just the political decisions, but also the economic and cultural decisions that we make today. So many things to look at when you are talking about Nigeria. But let's move on to the great Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Last year, we released our list of top 20 books for 2021, and her recent book, Notes on Grief, was one of those books we listed. Fantastic book. It's a book that she wrote after her dad passed on. It's such a deep, such an incisive book. It's a bit different from what we know Chimamanda to write about normally in terms of in terms of the books she has published in the past. She's well known for her dynamic fictional works like Half of a Yellow Sun and so on. But this is a special book, Notes on Grief. It's her new book, and she recently came to Lagos and did a reading at Alliance Francaise. Now, enjoy this.
It's the first event of Alliance Francaise Mike Adenuga Cultural Centre and Artistic Season, and the first guest for 2022 is a special one.
The DNA of this centre, since its inception, has been to support at the highest level a new cultural vision for the city of Lagos. And I cannot think of any better way to pursue this journey and to start this new year with magnificence than by hosting a wonderfully talented Nigerian bestseller author known worldwide. And I feel therefore extremely privileged to introduce this evening with Mrs. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, a loyal friend of the Alliance Francaise of Lagos, who will provide us with an inspiring and insightful conversation this evening on her latest book, an exquisitely written and moving essay on grief and loss.
In 2020, renowned author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie lost her father and about a year later her mother. These losses plunged her, as such experiences would do to anyone, into grief. Soon after, Chimamanda decided to share her thoughts on grief in a book that is now inspiring people around the world. The book, Notes on Grief, was selected as one of Channel's Book Club's top 20 Nigerian books for 2021. For the first time since the book was released, a major reading event is organized with Chimamanda as the special guest.
It was one of the oddest things. There are no words to say to one who is bereaved, but to just be present, to call and say, my friend, I'm here. If you need anything, I'm here. And one of the people to know this, one of the first to call me, all the way from America, +1, and say nothing while saying everything, is our guest for this evening. In a fog of grief, I remember your phone call. It is one thing to say our children should bury us. It is another to experience it. Nothing prepares you for this. But we have someone much better than I am in saying these things, someone whose notes on our experience you have all read, and you are yet to meet her.
In typical fashion, Chimamanda goes on to introduce and read from Notes on Grief, which is detailed, incisive and moving.
From England, my brothers set up the Zoom calls every Sunday. Our boisterous lockdown ritual. 2 siblings joining from Lagos, 3 of us from the United States, and my parents, sometimes echoing and crackling, from Aba, our ancestral hometown in southeastern Nigeria. On 7th June, there was my father, only his forehead on the screen, as usual, because he never quite knew how to hold his phone during video calls. Move your phone a bit, Daddy, one of us would say. On 8th June, a Okay went to Abba to see him and said he looked tired. On 9 June, I kept our chat brief so that he could rest. He laughed quietly when I did my playful imitation of a relative. Kachifo, he said, good night. His last words to me. On 10 June, he was gone. My brother Chooks called to tell me, and I came undone. My 4-year-old daughter says I scared her. She gets down on her knees to demonstrate, her small clenched fist rising and falling. And her mimicry makes me see myself as I was, utterly unraveling, screaming and pounding the floor. The news is like a vicious uprooting. I am yanked away from the world I have known since childhood, and I am resistant. My father read the newspaper that afternoon. He joked with Oke about shaving before his appointment with the kidney specialist the next day. He discussed his hospital test results on the phone with my sister, Ijoma, who is a doctor. And so, how can this be? But there he is. Oke is holding a phone over my father's face, and my father looks asleep, his face relaxed, beautiful in repose. Our Zoom call is beyond surreal, all of us weeping and weeping and weeping in different parts of the world, looking in disbelief at the father we adore, now lying still on a hospital bed. It happened a few minutes before midnight, Nigerian time, with Oke by his side and Chooks on speakerphone. I stare and stare at my father. My breathing is difficult. Is this what shock means? That the air turns to glue? Why are my sides so sore and achy? It's from crying, I'm told. I did not know that we cry with our muscles.
Thank you so much, Chimamanda.
But it is more than a reading session. There are conversations around grieving, and the guest author is happy to respond to them and share her thoughts on matters relating to grieving, including how people react to those who grieve in Nigeria.
There's another thing. I think I'm going to take this opportunity to vent about the Nigerian approach to grief. We just need to stop it, honestly. People are so quick to tell you to move on. Okay, the funeral went well, okay. And you're like, actually, after the funeral, that's actually when it begins. Right? That's when you suddenly realize, my God, I do not have the distraction of planning a funeral. This thing is real. But I've noticed in particular that it's my Nigerian well-wishers who wanted to, I think in some ways there's also that human thing where we're all uncomfortable with grief. We don't know what to do with it, right? Even I am uncomfortable with grief, other people's grief. But this idea that sometimes it felt to me and continues to feel to me that Nigerians can be very dismissive of grief, right? And or the way that we hide pain behind religion. I'm just so over that. So I'm sure none of the lovely people here are like that. But no, we and maybe it's also one of the reasons I wanted to do this, that I think we should talk more about grief, the realities of it, I think people suffer in silence because you're supposed to be strong. And even that, as a compliment, bothers me when people say, be strong. And I'm thinking, my life just fell apart. Why the hell should I be strong? I feel that not only our spirits and our lives have to show that love has gone.
Like the book, the event ends up being deeply touching, engaging, comforting, thought-provoking, and hope-inducing.
I hope you've had a good time with us on the show today. As always, we're very happy to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. And don't forget, we are back on Twitter. Oh, we've missed Twitter so much. Now we're back on Twitter. So send us a tweet, send us messages through Twitter, and we'll be very happy to respond to you. But it's not just Twitter. You can send us messages via Facebook. You can send us an email and so on. We're always excited to hear from you. This is where we have to end the show today. My name is Kunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.